What is up, my Gaggle of Geeks, and welcome to a Monday episode, a special movie Monday episode, because we've got a lot to talk about. Or, I don't know, it seemed like there was a lot to talk about from yesterday. I don't know if anybody knows about this little show called The Oscars that runs once a year, but they had, there's a couple of knuckleheads on the show. I don't know if you guys... just a couple of straight up knuckleheads. But I've got a couple of knuckleheads here. As always, we have Cole with us. How's it going, man?
So am I going to be Chris Rock or Will Smith in this an analogy that you're setting up? It's important to the dynamic of the show. Which persona do you want me to take? That
is a great question.
Am I Slapper or Slappy?
I don't know. I think the more that we get updates, it'll just keep switching dynamics.
Okay.
Like we'll have to take turns on it. I do have an idea for a mental stimuli challenge. How can we pitch this into a movie? You know what I mean? But and also joining us, he's from the Movies That Make Us podcast. He's been on the show a couple times, and one of the funniest guys, I think, because he's got one of the best voices for laughing when he's on the shows. He's got great takes. It's Tracy Mangum. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
So good.
I forgot you guys have all the cool little sound effects.
Yeah, but I didn't route it through correctly, and I was like, it's just time. We gotta do this thing. But I do appreciate that. There's a lot of sound effects that we can use for this that I'm so pumped for. I did not realize that there would be this many connections to how I watch Real Housewives and what happened yesterday. It's insane.
That was all in preparation.
Oh my gosh, it really is. And Tracy, we didn't mention this before, but we do have this thing that we start at the beginning of all our shows, and that is...
It's Gaggle of Geeks. What are you geeking about?
So you don't have to go first, but we want to know what you've been geeking about this past week. Aside from the Oscars, just getting ready for that, if there's anything that you've been watching or any shows that have been coming up that are just on your mind, or just, I don't know, video games, anything. But Cole, what have you been geeking about this week?
Okay, so we're specifically saying other than Oscars. Is that a thing?
Yeah, because that's the whole show. If we start it now, then we just might as well just go to the show.
Right. So, I'm keeping an eye on what I'm gonna geek about. So starting on Wednesday, we've got a Moon Knight coming out on Disney Plus. So I'm getting ready for that, right? I don't have any, Moon Knight is one of those comic book guys that I know about and I've read about, but I don't actually have any comics in my possession. When I was getting ready to see New Mutants, I went back and pulled out my Demon Bear comics and read them to get ready. But Moon Knight, I'm just keeping it a clean plate, and just going to take whatever it is they give me without knowing anything other than his Wikipedia entry. So the other thing that I'm geeking about, the other comic book thing, I finalized my 2021 movie rankings, which is my annual thing for the Oscars. I give myself that extra month and a half after the year ends. And Zack Snyder's Justice League, I just actually finished it. I started it 6 months ago.
What?
4 hours of watching it later, I have in fact finished Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I'm geeking about it. It was better than the other Justice Leagues. So
man, you are so late to this. This was so.
Guys, have you heard?
I don't know if you guys knew.
It has a really good moment where
it got nominated for Best Moment.
I don't know if you've heard about it.
Oh man, when that came up, did everybody just kind of collectively go, Snyder Twitters are going to just be the most annoying people on the planet?
Between the two versions, there's a good movie in there somewhere, but neither one of them was it.
Yeah, you got to cut that runtime down. That's for sure.
Just go into it like it's a miniseries, like I did. Take your time watching it.
There you go.
It'll be fun.
Very true. Well,
they
I have
split
to
it
say,
into sections. Beautiful.
Do you have any thoughts about any specific moments? Because they broke it up into chapters, but humor me. What were some of your favorite parts of this thing?
Yeah, so the beginning was better than the end, right? The end is what I just recently watched, but I remember the beginning thinking, this is actually good. Like introducing each one of the characters, getting Cyborg's backstory and how integral he became to these mother boxes, which is not comic book related at all, but like taking that twist and, you know, when you retrofit an origin story to the story you're telling, I'm fine with when movies do that because they're trying to tell one contained story. And so getting Cyborg in that way and having him be the emotional heart of your movie, just that's it shocks you even more with the movie that we got, the theatrical that we got, because it was totally different. So everything that Cyborg touched was my favorite part. The kind of seriousness that the rest of it had was good. Could have done without like the entire third act being in slow-mo, but other than that, it was a decent movie.
Oh man, Tracy, what did you think about it when it came out? Did you enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League?
I hated Batman v Superman. Like,
Okay,
really,
that's
did
totally
not
fair.
like that one. It's interesting because Joss Whedon brought some of the Justice League that I wanted to see, a little bit more of the camaraderie and a little bit more of the lightheartedness. But it still wasn't a really good movie. Snyder, 4.5 hours, 4 to 4.5 hours is a really, really, really long time. And I also had problems with the IMAX format where they were trying to shoot it in that square format. That didn't really work for me on a home viewing.
4:3 looks great when you're watching it on your phone, and then you do that thing that HBO Max lets you do, where you can turn your phone like portrait-wise, not landscape, and then it like fits at the top of your screen, and you can be like texting or doing whatever else you do on your phone, which is how I spent most of this movie, multitasking and paying attention to it on a screen about that big.
Yeah. Once
which
you
is
put
how
it
he intended, right?
Yeah, he did it in that format because he was trying to force Warner Brothers to re-release it in IMAX, and they didn't want to do it. No. So on a 16:9,
it seems like most of his choices creatively are to force business people into weird corners where it's like, well, what do we do now? He filmed a whole thing with Green Lantern. What are we going to do with it? We told them no. Then you have years
the
later.
backstory explanation I thought was great. Like there are so many parts of this movie that I think like match up to any other superhero movie we've seen in the past 20 years. It's just 4.5 hours isn't really a movie, it's a miniseries. And the ending still didn't pay off. And like you took 4.5 hours to build to that and it still wasn't that good. So
if anything, it teased harder something that we just I don't really see it ever coming to fruition.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. They even stopped David Duvernay's New God stuff. So like whether there's going to be a dark side coming back, I have no clue because they kind of stopped it all.
I feel like they're moving away from the Snyderverse for sure. Yeah. So I don't think we're going to get a New Gods take, but hey, it's Warner Brothers. Who knows what they're going to do?
Yeah, it's true. Like they will release a date being pushed 3 years back for a movie that was supposed to come out 10 years ago. Like that's how crazy they are with some of their choices.
I saw something that the Flash movie was announced the same week that the Flash first came on the CW, and now it's in like season. Yeah,
it's in season 9 now. That's insane.
And if the Flash movie is not coming out till later this year, I think. Is it next year?
Flash got pushed along with Aquaman to 2023.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So who knows?
Do they even make a movie?
Morbius. We don't make fun of Morbius enough though for how many times it's gotten. We get to see that this like our screeners finally came out, and I still don't believe it. It technically had more release dates like scheduled in it than New Mutants did, and New Mutants was like the poster child for getting pushed.
That's a great point. Yeah,
Morbius has done that more often, and it doesn't get the flack that it doesn't deserve. We should make fun of it more.
I've heard bad things about that one. Have you guys seen it?
Well, the screener is on Wednesday. I'm not going to it. I've got number one, and I don't want to disparage anything that I haven't seen yet.
Right.
But they did put a Marvel screening at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday.
That's rough.
I don't know what that means. Well, I do know what that means, but I don't want to say out loud what I think that might mean. It's just, and everything that you hear about it, it's next week is going to be another train wreck, but of a different thing completely.
Yes.
Oh, poor Jared Leto. Can't catch a break.
Nah, he's
even
fine.
in all his prosthetic makeup.
I mean,
Well,
Leto
I've
was
been
the guy at
geeking-
the end of Justice League, right? That I just watched. Was that Leto's Joker?
Oh,
Yes.
Or
yeah.
was that some other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never saw
Everything's
Suicide Squad?
connected, guys.
Wait. Have you never seen Leto's Joker before? That
No, I
iteration?
thought so. Well, I was pretty sure he didn't have all the tattoos from Suicide Squad.
Oh, okay. I guess
Yeah.
I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
for
was
some
totally
reason he
different, and
got
it's
those,
makeup. Could have been any white guy. I don't know.
Oh, speaking of any white guy, though, did you saw the new Joker clip from the Batman, right?
Yeah.
Barry Keegan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Keegan.
that guy looks like he fell in acid in real life. Like that's actually really.
I'm intrigued by that one because they're actually taking it back to the Joker's original origins, which is based on the 1928 silent film The Man Who Laughs. And Matt Reeves said that his version of the Joker is somebody who's had a physical deformity his whole life and has some kind of thing that makes him smile all the time, and he gets made fun of and he gets picked on, and so then he figures that life's a joke and he's the punchline. And that's kind of where that character's coming from. So it's not scars, even though it kind of looked like it. And his voice was kind of a hybrid of Ledger's and a few other things. There were like hints of Ledger in some of the lines that he delivered.
I like that scene. I'm glad that they didn't put it in, but I do understand it, and I think that that's a very good Joker and Batman conversation. Like just seeing this Joker kind of like with every iteration, there's a new twist, right? With what they're doing with that character and what the relationship is with Batman. With Jared Leto and Ben Affleck, it's just I want to kill you. Like there's really nothing else to it. It's like I'd like you to die, and the next time you come across my way, it's gonna happen. With like Keaton and Nicholson, they just were weirdos. Like they were just doing weird stuff to each other. It was for love too. It was kind of a love triangle in a lot of ways. And then Heath Ledger's was all chaos. This feels like Batman's actually afraid of this Joker. Like maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that. But Tracy, what have you been geeking about?
I've been geeking about the upcoming final season of Better Call Saul.
Oh my gosh.
I am a huge Breaking Bad fan, and so excited to see how they're going to tie this all up. I am worried for Kim. I don't know if Kim's going to make it out of this series because we never hear about her in Breaking Bad, and I don't want anything bad to happen to her.
She's such a good character.
Oh, but the way he brings in all these elements that we already knew, but yet twists them and puts them into a new and interesting way and really deepens that character. I think the new season's out like April 16th, I want to say. So coming up pretty soon. So I'm ready for that one. I think they're splitting it into two parts though. I think the first part will come out in the spring and then the second part is in the fall.
Gosh, I thought I can't believe that this isn't over yet because I thought that the last season I watched like 2 years ago was the first part of the last season. Like
no,
AMC
really
doesn't know how to end things.
AMC is confusing that way. Yes.
Yeah. I remember Mad Men did that 2-part finale season, but then Walking Dead just refuses to have a final season ever. And they talk about not understanding how to end something. Yeah.
Yeah. And that show's jumped the shark so many times, but I feel obligated to finish it because I've come this far. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Dude, I got in on Fear the Walking Dead. I'm all about those guys.
I haven't checked that one out.
I didn't get into Walking Dead too much, but Better Call Saul has really been one of the like shockingly incredible spin-off series. Like how often do spin-offs ever really work anyways? Like the fact that it works, and you could almost say that like some of the character developments are stronger than in Breaking Bad. It's in Kim Wexler, that last season crushed me in a way that like I didn't expect it to. When it's kind of like when you're a kid and you've been like begging for something to happen for a while, and then you get it and you're like, this isn't at all what I wanted, and I'm just upset now. Like none of this is working the way I thought.
Why isn't he becoming Jimmy? Yeah, or not Jimmy, Saul. When's he going to become Saul? And now he's becoming Saul. And we're all like,
Well, it's like, why is Kim becoming Saul? I don't want Kim to be Saul. That's not how this should work. No, this isn't how this happens. Oh man, that's so true. I've been geeking a lot. I've mentioned it before, but Real Housewives of Atlanta, I am so into lately. And I started in a weird way. Because they've got like 13 seasons of stuff. And like, it's just not doable, right? For anybody that's trying to review movies and do this stuff, like unless you just don't sleep ever.
Right.
So I've been watching the tell-alls. It's crazy to like have zero context and then just hear the fighting. It's pretty reminiscent of what happened yesterday. We have no context about like it just happened. We were like, was that fake? Was it staged? What happened here?
Just make your judgments and move on.
Yeah.
You don't need context.
Exactly. And I think if you treat this, because we'll take it seriously when we introduce it and talk it, because like there's some serious crap that happened that went down with it. But at the same time, there's no way I'm not going to be using like.
I feel that you and I are cut from the same cloth. You know what? I take that back. We're not. You're a whore.
Like any of the stuff that we're going to use from Housewives, we are putting into this because that's exactly what happened. And like, if we can't make fun of it, then who can? You know, there's a lot of stuff to say about comedy with this, like jokes in general and things and lines and
today,
stuff.
Oh my gosh, the internet has been on fire.
Right?
Memes.
Oh, the Batman meme has been laid to rest. R.I.P. Batman meme. Welcome the Will Chris meme. Like this is the new iteration, and we're not gonna see anything better than this for at least a decade.
Nope.
Oh man. Well, with that being said, how about we just jump into it then? The Oscars had happened, ladies and gentlemen, last night, and I don't know. Are you a huge fan of the Oscars, Tracy? Do you watch it a lot? Are you?
I try to. It used to be must-see TV for me, but I feel like my problem with the Oscars the last little while has been is it seems like they have stopped realizing that movies are supposed to be fun and entertaining, and that you can also make the show entertaining. And there's been a lot of feeling of we're better than you. We know better movies. It almost is like a lecture at times, you know? And it's like when I got out of film school, I was a film snob. I will fully admit it. And it took me a little while to get back to realizing that it's okay to be entertained and it's okay to have fun at the movies, as well as having some deep, humane films that have a lot to say about the human experience. That you can have both and be okay, but I kind of forget I feel like they kind of forget that.
I agree. They're more than happy to shell out as much dollars and tickets to bring in the big people, the big stars, not so much to give credit to the ones that box office wise were very successful. Or in like I don't know, the sci-fi horror genre never really gets as much credit as it should with these films, with these awards. But I don't know, Cole, you didn't get a chance to watch it live, but you were checking out the highlights. Nope. What do you think about the Oscars in general? You've said your piece a few times.
Yeah, I mean, just so Tracy's caught up, my opinion is that Oscars is as much of a genre as sci-fi and horror or action or anything else. Like the Oscar bait movie and the kind of movies that this show awards is just as specified as when the Saturn or Satellite or whatever those things are, or the BET awards, or awards that we all put, like each one of us as critics put together our like top 10. That's us giving out awards to the things that we like. And so if the Oscars are your thing, then go ahead and endure 3 hours and 42 minutes of them patting themselves on the back and watching it on TV. That is not me. I love it. I am team. This could have been an email. Like
I'm such a meeting. Give it to me.
Just send me. So I have the next day. I pull up the Wikipedia article. Some saint has updated it saying who won, and I scroll down and I say, okay, that's whatever. And then I memorize it. So if it's a question on Jeopardy in 10 years, that I look smart.
Got that knowledge.
And that's the only reason the Oscars matter to me. And so this, like, all this conflict of them, like, trying to make it more accessible and, like, taking out categories and trying to make it more of a viewing experience, or trying to, like, do the fan moment, like, all of this, like, twisting around and trying to, like, please everyone while absolutely alienating the only people that actually like your show and still not bringing in people that might.
Jesus.
It is
Get 'em.
worthless. They don't know what they're doing, and they're idiots.
Keep going.
Playing
The
them
song
off.
just started. So you have to get them. Get them. Bite their face off. Bite the Oscars' face off, Cole. No?
The Oscars do not matter, and they never.
Oh.
They have not in my lifetime. I was like,
Oh.
I was coming into movies when Shakespeare in Love won, right? I was a teenager when Crash won. I was an adult when the Oscars have never mattered in my lifetime.
What about Return of the King?
Oh, that's fair.
That was just a pity award. Like the fact that like
Whoa!
that
Oh
won,
my
that wins
gosh!
on behalf of an
That's how you get a job
accomplishment
here,
for a
you
trilogy,
face.
and it runs through it. But why did it win? Like the Oscars can't really
Whoa!
defend. That's the worst of the trilogy, but it rewarded an entire trilogy, which is what they do all the time. They look at this like great actor that has like a great body of work, and then once they finally like do a period piece and they dressed up in costumes and do a funny accent, that's when they win their Oscar. Or like Scorsese winning for The Departed of all things, like his sixth best movie.
Yeah.
Good, he has an Oscar to put on his shelf because apparently we've decided that that's the one that matters more than all the other ones. But anyway.
If the one that deserves it all the time gets it, then they can't be political and do cool things, you know? And there is a lot of precedence for some films just come out on the wrong year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's some movies that are so good and so deserving, especially if it's like this is their director's greatest achievement that they've done, right? And there's just one that just tops it up.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make it less valid if it doesn't win, but the way that they fill up these awards and they build it up for things like, let's talk about Chadwick Boseman and the last like 2 minutes before they quickly ended last year's Oscars. It was a tragedy, dude. That one was horrible. Yeah. Last year was the worst Oscars in my experience. Like I was watching it, like we're at a train station. Everybody's just like kind of terrified of each other still. Like, no. In this one, they're like, yay, faces. But in there, they're like, no faces. I don't want to see a single face.
Mm-hmm.
Put them on.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that the movie industry would be able to do a better job at putting on a show and doing a production. It's amazing that we keep talking about the worst part of the Oscars is the broadcast of the Oscars. These are media professionals.
Mm-hmm.
No, they put on a show, Cole. They put on a show.
I think part of the problem is that with social media, we have such an insight now to the celebrities and stars' lives that the Oscars don't matter as much anymore. It used to be a sneak peek behind the curtain, and now you get that on Instagram, you get that on TikTok, you get that on Twitter. So I think the Oscars have lost a lot of the shine because of that. I
still think they're shiny.
I'm not saying they're not.
I still watch it. I'm a simp. Give me all of that. You know, if Oscars is low grade heroin, put it in my veins.
It's not as compelling as it used to be.
It's true. When do you think this started? Did it start with Moonlight and La La Land?
I would say even before that. You know, it's interesting. I came up through film school in the 90s. And the late 90s, the independent films were just blowing up, and we had some really incredible pieces. And Cole mentioned it, the Shakespeare in Love was the one that sticks out to me the most egregious, because that same year you had Pulp Fiction, Quiz Show, and The Shawshank Redemption also nominated, and Shakespeare in Love won because Harvey Weinstein decided to put pressure on everybody to get that done.
You got to it. It's the Weinstein model, man. Like we scrubbed him out of the rest of Hollywood because of his actual atrocities. And now let's look at Oscars. Now that we can all agree that he's a horrible person, let's look at his professional legacy and talk about how he ruined the movie industry by making the business of like promoting your movie more important than how good your movie is.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Why doesn't he have his Oscars taken away? Him or Roman Polanski? What are we doing?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, Reggie Bush still won the Heisman, and like you can't take away award. It's fine.
Yeah, you can take the award, but they still won it. Yeah,
whatever.
Oh, gotcha.
He won it. It's fine. But like, let's try to change things going forward.
Yeah,
so that we don't honor him.
Cole, I think that's what we need to do next year. We need to fix the Oscars, and then we'll send a report to them just before.
Yeah,
Show them what's
we can do
what.
that.
Well,
Well,
there
and
are
I
some honorable mentions for this show. Probably, if there's any that I could think of that were a little bit controversial, but quickly faded away. It was when Sean Penn reportedly said that if
Oh,
they don't bring in Ukraine, uh,
Zelensky.
Zelensky into the show, that he would smelt his Oscar trophies down. And I don't know what he
I
was,
love
what he
that
would,
man.
Not
what is
gonna
he,
happen.
what's he making out of it? But Sean Penn, what are you doing? It's the weirdest thing. Don't you think Zelensky's busy at the moment? Like, isn't there a chance that maybe he wouldn't be able to make this stupid award show that I love so much? Like, if he showed up, it would feel weird. It would feel like, so what is
I
this
was
thing in
too
Ukraine?
busy
Is
in
this
my life
fate?
for the Oscars. I think Zelensky was too busy with his life.
Right. But I just think it's ridiculous that, like, not only are they asking him, I'm assuming that they put out a feeler, but
I-
that Sean Penn is already so mad about it. And he's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to melt them all down. He's going to melt them by the cigarette light of all of the cigarettes that he smokes. He's just going
It's
to
gonna
keep
take a while.
putting them out in it until the face gets all melty. And he's like, this is what you made me do,
This is what
Academy.
happens. This is what you get.
Nothing for licorice pizza, nothing for you.
Oh, can I just say how happy I am that Licorice Pizza got nothing? Because that was a terrible, terrible, terrible movie.
Also, not really good on pizza. I tried that yesterday. You can't
Did you go
call something
red
like that and not
vine?
have me try it. But
Did you go red vine? Did you go black?
so I went with the Twizzlers. I
Okay.
pulled and peeled all of them, and then
Ah,
I arranged it into like a little spiral to make them like little pepperonis
yeah.
in each thing. It's a bad
Not to
idea.
get too distracted again, but because I just finished like watching and ranking all my 2021 movies, I also like picked out the ones that they honored for Best Picture.
Uh-huh.
And of the 10 that they chose, Licorice Pizza is my favorite of those 10.
Then I'm sorry I insulted your favorite.
Don't be sorry.
It didn't
It's
work
fine.
for me.
We're not sorry in here. We double down. We double
Coda
down
was
and we
also
fight.
good. We can all agree on
Coda
Coda,
was
right?
amazing.
Okay. Coda was
I
my
was
number
shocked.
2. That's okay.
I thought Power of the Dog was going to win. I was pretty convinced that was going to take it. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
the fact that Coda won just was phenomenal. Tony Kushner winning Best Actor. That was
Oh,
great.
yeah.
His acceptance speech was just beautiful.
Oh, yeah. When he called out his dad,
Oh.
that got me.
Yeah.
Did it also win a screenplay award too?
Yeah, I think
That's
Best Original
adapted.
Screenplay. Or was it adapted?
It's
And it was
adapted
up
from like a
against,
foreign film.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes.
who was that? Who was that up against today? Because there's a few that I was thinking that actually came as a surprise to me for who actually won. We'll get to Will Smith later, but the Troy Kotsur, that was kind of the most like a surefire bet for me. I was like, this
Mhm.
guy for sure is going to get it. Jessica Chastain for Eyes of Tammy Faye, I was
Oh.
pretty sure would get it as well. And
Yeah. And the makeup team.
yes, both absolutely deserved. The makeup effects on those are incredible, and I'm hoping the next year, because of how incredible Colin Farrell's were, that they also get a nomination,
Yeah.
because it feels so close to like
Mhm.
you made a completely different person out of this, and they did the same with Tammy Faye. They really brought her
Yeah.
to life.
Yeah, I was glad to see she won. I thought Jessica Chastain and her acceptance speech, going out of her way to talk about the LGBTQ and trans, and being accepting of people. I thought that was a really, really nice moment.
I agree. No, totally. And Ariana DeBose winning supporting actress for West Side Story. I think this is
Mhm.
at the top of the show. One of the first ones that they did. Also, just one that I was very happy with. She was incredible in that.
She was
Animated
phenomenal.
feature was where the surprises started hitting me, though. Where I was like, I didn't expect Encanto to win this one. To be honest, I was really thinking it was going to go to Mitchell's versus the Machines. But what were your thoughts?
I thought it was going to go Mitchell's, but I was okay with Encanto. I don't. It was good. I didn't love it, but I like Mitchell's quite a bit. I thought that was a good one. I would have been fine with either one of those winning.
Mm-hmm. Did you end up watching Flea yet, Cole?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
you were watching
that's
these.
what I thought had a chance, but like Fleece, I guess, split itself up into so many different like camps
Yeah.
that the normal like animated crowd, Mitchell's actually did something exciting with its animation. Luca was the Pixar entry, and Encanto was the Disney entry, and I felt like it was going to end up just being one of those three, despite Flea actually being, in my opinion, the best one. And then, of course, you go over to like foreign and documentary, and it's also very strong in those subcategories.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the technical categories ended up going to Dune. Cinematography did.
Makes sense.
A lot of the sound design, a lot of the score.
Production.
Production, yep. And let's see. I'm going
Visual
through the list as
effects,
we speak.
editing.
Costume design went to Cruella, which I thought was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think Cruella, for all of its faults, and it does have many. I hate that movie. I freaking hate that movie. Well, she's not even a bad person anymore. Like, she doesn't even litter. Like, she's not a bad person. She is a sad, misunderstood orphan that like had a horrible backstory and still doesn't use dog fur for her coats. It's crazy. And it's like, nah, I'm the baddie. You're gonna love me. It's like, no, you're not quite Glenn Close yet, but maybe next movie we'll get there.
Yeah.
Directing went to Jane Campion for Power of the Dog. Anybody think anybody was going to be different for that?
No, I figured it was going to be her. I am not particularly a fan of her films. I feel like they're very, very slow and kind of meandering in a lot of ways. So that wasn't my favorite directing pick, but I figured that was going to be the one. And it's nice that, I mean, we've now had 2 back-to-back female best directors. So that's great. You know, it's only been what, 10 years since Hurt Locker with,
a little over. Yeah. That would have been 08, 09.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the first female best director. So that was 13 years ago. Now we've got 3 in the last 13 years. So that's a good sign.
Who was your pick, or who was your pick going to be for this?
I figured she was going to win. I can't remember why.
It was Kenneth Branagh. It was Drive My Car, Licorice Pizza, and West Side Story.
Yeah. And that I'd probably go with Drive My Car. But it would have been cool to see Spielberg win just because he's the first guy to be nominated in 5 different decades, which is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
In a category where I didn't have like a particular rooting interest, I was rooting for either Hamaguchi or Jane Campion. Just to see, because I mean, there wasn't one I thought that was so much better than those other ones that I'm going to be mad at it. So like, I would have been happy if either of those 2 won, or honestly Spielberg.
I honestly thought Spielberg was going to get it more than anything. I didn't think he was going to end up getting Best Picture, so I thought that by default he was going to be getting a directing credit or something. But again, I think Jane Campion, she directed a very good slow burn with this. But I do understand that a lot of those kind of films can feel like that they just kind of go a little.
My problem with too much. Power of the Dog is I just felt like we've told this type of story before and we've done it better. I didn't feel like it brought anything new to the table. If this had come out 15 years ago, then it would have been all sorts of groundbreaking and interesting. And to me, this was just kind of a retread of stuff we've already seen. So, yeah.
I also thought West Side Story would get its consolations in some of those production categories where Dune just like there was no mercy with Dune taking the technical categories, where I thought West Side would like snag maybe cinematography, right? Or maybe, but no, when Dune just kept winning and winning there, that's when it kind of got sad for West Side, and you kind of started rooting more and more for Spielberg to get it at the end.
Yeah. Was it a snub to not include Denis as director?
Apparently, if all the technical stuff was that good,
it's interesting, right?
To take a story that is so complex and so dense on the page, and to make this into not only adult sci-fi that serious sci-fi lovers could get behind, but yet still appeal enough to make like 600 million at the box office during a pandemic.
Yes.
That's a heck of a balancing act that man pulled off.
No, it's true. We really like. I know that we're happy to like be going back out to doing whatever we want to do. But the COVID stuff, like it really did hit movie theaters and box office numbers. And Dune was not a sure bet. Like everybody was sitting there praying and hoping that it would at least make it enough so that they wouldn't think it's a wash, let alone if he could continue doing it with Dune 2. So the fact that we got both those, and I don't know, that does say that, you know, whoever captained all of these incredible artists who were able to do all these things, they were able to do all these things in part a lot because of the creative, you know, what's the word? Hierarchy. You know, he was at the top. He helped with this.
Right.
So that's interesting. I was actually very happy that Questlove won Summer Soul. I think that was an incredible documentary. I saw that during Sundance, the same year as Flea came out and Coda did. So that was a year for
pretty
Sundance.
stacked. Yeah.
Well, especially because my favorite documentary of the year didn't even get a nomination toss, which was The Rescue.
Say that one more time. Sorry. I got a comment and I got my ADHD took over so hard. I was like, what? They said Patrick way too many times. What does this mean? Team Patrick. What does that mean? Patrick who? Were we talking about a Patrick for winning?
Fan.
What
you should have won all the categories.
You should have won all the categories.
Oh,
Best actor for pretending to care about the Oscars.
I'm feeling it.
So,
that sounds good.
My favorite documentary of the year was The Rescue, and it didn't even get nominated.
Yes.
Yes.
Summer of Soul is my second favorite. Go ahead and give that one the Oscar.
That's the cave diver one, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
that guys did Free Solo, which was amazing.
That's
it
right.
Confirmed that I'm claustrophobic very much.
That one was interesting because they so seamlessly cut together real actual footage from the rescues along with recreations. They like actually
recreations with the guys that did it. Like it's not like they got actors like you're watching A&E on a Sunday night when they like recreate a murder mystery or something like that. Like they got the dudes that were in those caves to go back into like a similar looking cave and
built those.
Okay, so it wasn't the same cave.
Like how they were
amazing.
Yeah, but
they
didn't
go
built
to the same cave, right?
No, they built it on a
because
set.
That would have been crazy if they're like, you have to go back to where they were. Like,
we didn't get enough footage. You got to go back in.
We don't have a reverse over the shoulder. We really could use that shot. Like, why are you getting in between? I thought you liked this. That's crazy.
That one's on Disney Plus. That's a really good one.
Well, international feature film. This again, documentary, no Flea. Animation, no Flea. International, I was really like, this is gonna happen. I
thought it would take international,
but it went to Drive My Car, and that's 3.5 hours of a film. That's a meaty film.
It is. It's a good film, but it's a meaty film. That's for sure. Yeah.
And I'm excited that they were able to get some recognition in this because that film, it's 3.5 hours, but it's like, I don't know, it's like a warm blanket. Like it's very comforting, and it explores a lot of stuff. But I always hate, like, if you're gonna do a 3.5 hour movie and you've not started your credit sequence and it's now 45 minutes in, just don't. It's over. The time has passed. You don't need to do it. We know where we're in. We know what movie we're doing. It's like, wait, what is this? I don't even know what's happening now.
It wasn't 3.5 hours, but Fresh did the same thing. It was about 40 minutes.
Yeah. I remember that. It's like,
yep.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
I guess. Great start. We already said the makeup one, music. Hans Zimmer with his score for Dune.
Yeah.
He created instruments. He said he did horrific things with the human voice.
Yeah, he said when he was a kid, he'd go watch movies like Star Wars and 2001, and he's like, you get these epic space, exotic looking locales, and then you're like, oh, and then for some reason they have cellos and clarinets and reed instruments, and so yeah, I love the fact that he like created brand new instruments, and I love the percussion aspect to it, and the women, the vocals for the women, because the Bene Gesserit are such an important part of that world and that story. To have that as part of the soundtrack, I thought was phenomenal.
And we cannot forget the throat singing.
Right. That was
good
well
stuff.
done.
Yeah, it's like getting into a Batman voice. You have to go down into a register to let that thing come out. Otherwise, you're just gonna throw
It's
up
just not
everywhere.
gonna work. Yep.
You just listen to hours of Vuvuzela from the 2010 World Cup and then do your best impression of that.
Oh man, was that a sports reference? Did you just get me? Yeah, you just got me. Cool. It's cool. I can live in the moments of it always will go over my head. And like I gotta make a sports promo for work and I don't even know what I'm doing. It's like there is sports happening. That's where I'm at so far on that. We got writing for both. Oh yeah, this is Kenneth Branagh's is this his first
Oscar.
First Oscar.
Surprisingly. Yeah.
That's great. I was hesitant, but yeah, it really is. For Belfast, we already know the coda got that. I think Kenneth Branagh, the way that he speaks is so fascinating. Like anytime he opens his mouth, it sounds like poetry.
Mm-hmm.
It's very deliberate. I don't think he ever says I don't think he ever says like, and it's beautiful to listen to. I could listen to him all day, do audiobooks or something. And I guess Belfast was okay. I don't know. But let's see. We really went through everything except for Best Picture. And if we want to just gush about Coda for a minute, that is no problem with me because the movie is incredible. And
Mhm.
it's so I guess naturally flowing, simple in its story, but very elegant in how they tell it. Very unique, even though the beats may seem familiar. It's done in ways that you've never seen before and in an experience that many people don't see. And I don't know, ever since Sundance, when I first saw the movie, there's just been this bug in my ear that's like, it's going to win Sundance. The minute it wins Sundance, it's going to be Best Picture. This has to be Best
You've been
Picture
calling
because
that
this is so good.
since Sundance. Yeah.
And it was awesome to hear. Like I was still in shock because the thing happened, the thing had happened. And it had been like, I don't know how long it had been where he was just still in his seat. And like, then they brought everybody in and you could tell that the whole energy had shifted. Even like, we didn't talk about the hosts, Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, Regina Hall. I think they did pretty well. They weren't really in it as much as I thought, right?
No, they weren't used very much. No,
Wanda stole the scene in everything.
Stole every scene she was in. Yes.
When she showed up as King Richard, that was the funniest thing. Like I was laughing my face off
a lot.
Or when she goes into the Hollywood Museum. Have you guys been to that?
Yes.
You have? What is it like?
Oh wait, maybe I haven't.
It's their new Hollywood Museum.
That's what I was thinking of. This
Motion Picture Academy or something.
Yeah, no, I've driven by. I've actually walked by, but I haven't been in that one.
Yeah, that place looks really cool. Especially how they have like the display cases of like each character and stuff, and you saw like C-3PO and R2-D2 and like the ruby slippers. That was.
And if you're a fan of the Warner Brothers films, the Warner Brothers tour is really cool. They basically take you out on like groups of like 8 maximum, and they take you like on the sets of different shows. And then at the very end, you actually get to go through their prop museum where they have like the actual piano from Casablanca. They've got the John Wayne shotgun from Stagecoach. They've got the whole upstairs is all Harry Potter. Is this
like in Space Jam 2 where we're going through like the world of Warner Brothers and then we land in a different
you just put a Space Jam 2 reference in the Oscars discussion?
Yes, he did.
You just did
well done.
Who cares? We got celebrities slapping comedians. We've got all kinds of weird stuff happening. Well, I guess with that said, let's transition over to the part that we've all been waiting for. Chris Rock got his face slapped hard by Will Smith. I don't know. Should we go into the backstory of it, or do you feel like anybody that's watching this might know already? But essentially, Chris Rock goes up. He's presenting Best Documentary. he starts giving out a couple jokes. He gives one with Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz about if one of them wins the award, the other one cannot win the award because they have to go to bed together.
Yeah, if she loses, he can't win.
Yeah, that was a little funny. And then he moves over, and you have to also look at the seating arrangement that they have in this, because they've got Jada and Will are right front and center, like right center to the stage. So it's hard to be overlooked if they need to do crowd work to not point at the people that are right in front, right? So he calls out Will and Jada, and he's about to he's saying something, and from what TMZ's reported, this part was not in the prompter. This was an off-the-cuff, random joke.
Off the cuff to me, yeah.
He basically told Jada that she looks like she could be cast for G.I. Jane 2. So that's the Demi Moore film where she has her head shaved. Not knowing, apparently, which, again, it's TMZ, so I guess take it with a grain of TMZ salt. But he didn't know that she actually has been going through a really serious problem with having her hair falling out and developing an autoimmune disease and possibly alopecia. I don't know if they actually confirmed that she.
I think it is.
Has her.
I do believe it is. Yeah.
So that's been something that's been in the family, and it's been a big problem for her and self-conscious and anybody that's going through that. I'm like losing just this much, and I'm terrified, and I hate it.
It's all good,
I know
man.
Cole. I know Cole. Cole, you asshole with your hair and wearing a hat even. Jeez. He's wearing the hat to make us feel better.
Well, this way we cover all the bases, Patrick.
Why does he look like a Pokemon trainer?
We're just the extremes. You're in the middle.
We're like the reverse progression of like a hair treatment or something.
Yes, yeah. Before and after. You're the client who's going into the doctor, and he's like, "Here's before, and there's me," and then he shows Cole, and he says, "Here's the after."
If they had a treatment for me to get a beard like that, I'd do it. I can't.
Do you want to do a transplant switch off?
There you go.
Yo, take some of my beard skin. We'll put it on you. We'll transplant it. Give me your hair. Give us that. But anyway, Will Smith. We went on a tangent there.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say more about this than what we've posted in the comments, but basically after he gives the joke, it seems like Will Smith laughed at the beginning. Jada shoots a look over at Will, and then it cuts away. We don't know what happens from that point from Will's side. We just know that Chris Rock is like, whoa, surprise. I thought it went easy on you. Again, alluding to maybe he had no clue what he was doing with this one.
Agree.
But then Will comes up and has this Batman strut. It's like Deadshot is coming right up to him, and he hits his mark. Smack Batman and Robin meme immediately comes to mind. And Chris Rock actually he stayed standing. He didn't get knocked completely down. He didn't fight back either. Which again, when there comes to violence, there's always a possibility that something like that could happen.
Absolutely.
And basically, he took it on the chin and was like, "All right, I just got slapped by Will Smith." And then Will Smith is swearing, "Get my wife's name out of your effing mouth." And he says it a couple times. And if you're in the United States, you're like, "I didn't see any of this. It cut away when this happened." Well, that's because they did that on purpose. If you check on
the 8-second drop, yeah.
Right. If you go on online, you can find the full version that's from Japan or from Australia. They're like, "We want to get this downloaded, mate. They don't know what happened."
But see, and it's interesting because a lot of people were saying it was staged, and especially if you watch the unedited version where you see all of what happens, I absolutely feel like that was real. And it wasn't the hardest slap, but I think it really did happen. And I think when you cut back to Will Smith and he's got this look on his face, and he's a good actor, but I don't know he's that good to be
very flushed
with the "you keep my wife's name out of your mouth." And Chris Rock, who is a comedian who is known for being unflappable, is taken aback. He's like,
"Yeah,
okay."
That's the part. That's the part that tells me it's not faked, right? Like the fact that Chris Rock didn't have something witty to come back to, he seemed like he really did not didn't get what just happened, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
oh, I just got slapped from Will, and then when he swears back,
Mhm.
yeah,
It's like, oh,
whether
okay,
it was staged or
something's going
not,
on. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and
This
then
is an all
when
press
they
is good press kind of moment, right, for the Oscars.
right, and when they cut away for commercial, you actually had his PR rep go up and talk to him. Bradley
Mhm.
Cooper went up and talked to him. Denzel Washington talked to him. There's actually some footage of Chris Rock standing at the edge of the stage with his hands out, looking like he's trying to apologize, and Will's not looking in his direction. So
Mm.
I don't think there's any doubt that that was a real legit thing. And it's sad in a lot of ways because it overshadows what was a really interesting night on for a lot of other categories. And people aren't going to
Mhm.
remember that this is the first time that we had a queer Black woman win for Best Actress. We're not going, or supporting actress. We're not going to talk about Tony and being the second deaf actor to win. We're not talking about Coda and what a surprise that one was. It's all going to be Will Smith and Chris Rock.
That's the most disappointing part about this, because if he really wanted everybody, like, first of all, I know I said her name, I won't do it again for the rest of the show.
Right.
Gee, who you keep the name out of your mouth.
and
We don't talk about Bruno, and we don't talk about Jada either, especially on this show.
I get this, like, if he would have walked up there and grabbed a mic and said, my wife has a medical condition and I don't think it's funny to talk to her in that way, and went and
Mhm.
sat back down, he would have been the hero. Like, people would have been like, oh my
Truly.
gosh. And he had a chance during his acceptance speech to make things better. But I guess it's easy for me to say because I wasn't there and I'm not feeling the emotions. But I'm like, here's a chance to be the bigger man and be like, I made a mistake. That shouldn't have happened. It got the best of me. And instead, he kind of went, well, I'm kind of the overprotective father / male figure like Richard was for his daughters.
It
And
got
then
weird. It
and
got a
then when he
little
starts
uncomfortable.
dropping the love makes you do crazy things, it's like, that's
And
what any
I've been sent here to give
spouse-based
love to
person.
people and
Yeah,
protect people, and
like,
there's a quick
it's
cut of him
weird.
just slapping, like,
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think he undid a lot of the goodwill that he's built up over his career.
it's sad. That's the saddest part about it, because I do think he acted out purely on emotion, and I think, Charlemagne said this best, I don't think the slap was only for Chris, that there was
Mhm.
a lot of stuff happening
Oh,
that
yeah. Yeah.
was not intended for Chris, but Chris still got the hit. Like, he
Mhm.
received a lot more than that. And there's a lot of
Well,
stuff
this
to
is
say about where they're going with how they're going to handle where it's at now, because the update to everything after he had, because we didn't mention this, he won Best Actor right after, and then he
Right.
went up and gave the speech. And like you said, Tracy, the speech was, you could tell that he was very flustered, and
Mhm.
it was an off the cuff speech, and it was a lot about just, I protect my family, and then saying I'm a purveyor of love. It got a little Tom Cruise Scientology, I'll be honest. There was a couple parts where I was like,
Yeah.
you just hit somebody. You can't be a purveyor of love and hit people. That's not the same
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
He goes off, and apparently at the after party he's dancing and stuff to his own songs, and he's having fun, and people are kind of, there's a picture of him going like dancing, and everybody around is kind of like, everybody dance,
Smile
just
nicely.
dance with him. Oh yeah, okay, just make sure. Cole's gone.
Oh,
Cole said, screw this, I'm out of
I'm
here.
out.
But what we have as far as the update goes is that he has now apologized to Chris Rock. He put that out on his Instagram. He said that it was wrong to use violence. It was a mistake. He's apologized. He apologized to the Academy first,
Right.
and from then on, he didn't really say anything for that night. P. Diddy showed up and was like, "I'm gonna fix this." Like,
He did.
he
He's the
came out
most
of nowhere. He's like,
bluesy.
"Don't worry, these guys are friends. We're gonna make this work later." And we're all like, "What? What is happening here?"
Well, and
I still don't know if it's real.
I loved Amy Schumer's clip when she came and she's like, I was changing out of my Spider-Man suit. Did I miss something? Because the whole mood in here has changed. I'm like,
Right.
okay, that was a really clever way of handling that.
Oh man. Well, and here's the questions that I have then for this. A, what is the line? Because there's a lot of questions that a lot of people ask and not just with Chris Rock. We've had this conversation when it comes to Dave Chappelle's stand-up. We've had this conversation when it comes to the classics, George Carlin's stand-up. Where at what point is the joke too far? At what point can you not express yourself without getting a consequence towards it? I guess I could say. And was it justified for that?
So I don't like comedians that punch down. I feel like Chappelle's been doing that the last little while, and I feel like his comedy's not as funny. I don't like that humor, and I didn't think that the joke was great. It wasn't really funny. It's a very dated reference. But I didn't feel like it was enough to go up and slap somebody and make a fool out of yourself in front of millions of people. And the Oscars are known for taking jabs at celebrities. And Will kind of said it in his apologies, like, if you want to come after me, that's one thing, but when you come after my family, that's different. And I get that. But like, Amy Schumer was dropping some stuff earlier, and Wanda Sykes was dropping some stuff earlier that I thought was much harder hitting. And then just a few years ago, Ricky Gervais blew that room up.
Yep.
And
that's the key.
I just feel like it would have been such a better moment if he would have just like gotten up and said, that's my wife and she's got a medical condition and I don't appreciate that. It's easy for me to say because I wasn't in that audience and I wasn't in that moment, but I just feel like we've got to break the cycle of violence. We've got to stop saying that it's okay to go up and hit somebody if you're upset with them. And it's like, it's really not, you know?
Yep. And it's true. People can push you to whatever brink of whatever point. And at the end of the day, like it is difficult to put yourself in the situation because obviously like none of us we're not constantly under like a photojournalist running around taking pictures of you. You don't have your whole family in the public spotlight. So there's a lot to do with that. But at the same time, that's where people are upset about this different standards situation when it comes to Will Smith and anybody else that would have done anything like this just at a stand-up at a local bar or like anybody that was just, I don't know. I cannot imagine somebody that was just like a seat sitter that happened to be right there around that time was like, what? Did you guys see Lupita Nyong'o's face behind him?
Yes.
It was just like just that look of like pure, like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Trying to smile. Or that poor camera guy that had it right on Will Smith's face. Like he's just
I'm going to get out of the way, sir. You know,
but here's what I'll say though. I love the comedy from he's known as the roast master general, Jeff Ross, and he punches down in certain ways. Not really. I like I said, Chris Rock's was off the cuff, and like you said, it's not very funny. Like it just wasn't a very good joke, so it just didn't land. It was
like 99, 2000, early 2000s. When did that come out? Hang on.
97. 97. But none of the jokes are ever funny in any of these things. So, like, it's not like this was that much.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was, like, less funny than some of them. But the reason the Oscars don't get me to watch is because this whole, like, that's what the whole show is just famous people making fun of other famous people. And then you do, like, one cutaway where they, like, go to a random movie theater and, like, grace us commoners with their presence, and then they go back to like or they throw peanut butter sandwiches at each other, like any of that shtick that they do in these award ceremonies, any of the like making fun of each other half-heartedly, none of it is ever good. And so like even when Ricky Gervais did call it all out and every curmudgeon like me was like, oh yeah, go, like I didn't like that either. Like he's still just doing this, like they're still just making fun of each other.
Yeah.
And that's not my jam. And so I just don't watch it because that's what this is always full of. But
well,
I also
some of us
never
still watch it,
for
Cole.
doing it either. So.
Some of us still watch it. Some of us seriously, when I saw this, like this is just like Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff is getting crazy.
It's going to be interesting to see how the ratings are next year.
Like,
they're going to go up. So first of all,
so.
It's like Real Housewives, except we think that this is real for some reason. Like That's why I go back. I'm not 100% convinced. Like,
Oh,
we kind of
I'm pretty
analyze
sure
why
this
we
was
think
not
it's real,
staged,
but
especially because
I
it's
have
still
no
been
doubt
going.
it's real.
At this point, it would have been
The
debunked.
Academy is investigating. They both put out press releases. There's no benefit to what happened last night. There's no, there's no punchline. There's no.
Well,
the Oscars get more viewers next
it's
year.
more of a
and
slap
Chris Rock
line.
is going to book
But
more
Will
shows.
Smith and Chris Rock both kind of dragged their names through the mud for the Oscars. I don't think they're going to do that.
Will Smith for the past year though has been like saying weird, like his whole relationship has been through the mud this past year anyway. Like the whole Twitter trending for his open relationship, Twitter trending for anything else. Like that's part of him, and maybe this is his like effort to defend him being the family man that he's always been on.
At.
And Patrick mentioned that. I feel like this is kind of built up, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back.
Mm-hmm. And I know, Cole, you think that every Oscars, it's just a slap in the face to you. But for this time, it actually was a slap in the face to someone. And I think you've got to give respect to the fact that they turned your complaint into reality.
Yeah.
He did take it like a champ. Like, I don't like, what would you do if you just got slapped by Will Smith on stage?
Yeah, you're in front of millions of people. Well, here comes one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. You don't know exactly what he's going to do. And then, yeah, I'm with you. I'm surprised that it didn't turn more violent because I could see Rock throwing something back and he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm too little. I would crumble to the ground. Like the minute he hit me, I just slide off like a banana slug. Just go down the stairs.
My favorite thing that I saw today was Chris Rock missed a great opportunity by saying, "Oh, you hit like that? No wonder you didn't win an Oscar for Ali." Like,
yeah, we get that one. But at the end of the day,
we live in a society,
and we have to.
We're back to the Jared Leto.
Yeah, easy. I did that.
Full circle.
Oh man, but I do think that there's going to be a lot of conversation in the coming week or weeks with this. This was a huge deal, big thing that happened.
Okay, hold on. It's not that huge. What is the conversation actually going to accomplish? Why do we need to be talking about this for a whole week?
By way of what are we permitting and what is the right resolution now? Because there's an investigation. That's now made it bigger. Is he he's a member of the voting body? Is that kind of what they're investigating?
So. Yeah, I don't know.
If they still have the Oscars for Polanski and Weinstein, they can't take his away. He earned it. That's his Oscar. Mm-hmm. Sorry. But
I think they'll be like, we don't condone this, and that's going to kind of be the end of it. But this is like,
you could posture and say like you're not invited next year, Will, but like who cares? Like that's just one of those like slap on the wrists.
Do you think next year will be more uptight?
Yeah.
I think so too.
I think
it's going to be the whitest Oscars we'll ever have.
I think you're going to have. I hope they go back to having hosts more involved. I don't know. It's so hard because like they cut these technical awards and then like they shot them early and then they just spliced them into the show. Yeah. And they still went over time. So I mean, it's a long broadcast. There's a lot of awards to give out and a lot of people deserve their moment in the sun, but it's a long show.
I agree. And I'm glad that we spent at least the majority of this time talking about the actual winners and spent this last part talking about it because I didn't want to make it just a big thing where we're only talking about the controversy because really there were some great winners.
Great moments. And one of my favorite moments was Jessica Chastain actually skipped the red carpet and press junket and went into the auditorium when her makeup team was being nominated because she was like, I have to be there for those guys because of what they did for me. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was very, very classy. I loved that.
And Jared Leto was still in costume. No one even knew. He's like, it's a me.
The other thing we didn't talk about that I thought was so great was when Liza Minnelli is on stage and she's struggling and Lady Gaga just quietly says, I got you, right? And
Oh,
Liza's like, yeah. And I was just like, okay, that's class right there.
Yep.
You know,
Dude, what's happening with Liza? I
I don't
didn't
know what
research too
she's
much.
got. She's got some kind of ailment. I want to say MS, but I could be wrong.
Oh man, that's too bad. Yeah, it's always hard seeing those celebrities because like I've known her since like growing up watching Arrested Development and stuff.
See,
Like
I'll even outdo you. I remember her as being in Arthur with Dudley Moore. So yeah, but yeah, she was brilliant in Arrested Development.
Right. Lucille too. Well, I think we're about actually out of time for. I don't know. Pitch
We've
a
run
Chris
so far
Rock
over
and
just
Will
like
Smith
the
movie.
Oscars.
Let's
My
say this.
computer has died. My AirPods died.
Is
I'm
everything
just hanging
dying?
on by a thread.
Yeah, we'll close.
Can't talk.
We'll
Can't
close
talk
it.
about the Oscars for too much more.
But let's tease for next week. We have a week to come up with a pitch for a Will Smith, Chris Rock led movie. This is their comeback. This is them. Maybe it's a buddy cop movie, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe it can be Lethal Weapon. And it's just
Yeah,
like
a
Will
Midnight
Smith's
Run, a
hand.
Lethal Weapon.
It's just a
Yeah.
big picture of his palm.
Lethal Weapon 6.
Keep her name out your mouth. That's the last of the title. Oh man. Well, thank you both for joining and talking. I really do appreciate it. And Jay, thank you for being a part of the chat as always. And Scott for chatting with us too. Cole, tell everybody where they can find you.
Twitter.com, Cole Wissinger, and then I write for Inca Magazine, INQUAmag.com.
Yeah, and Tracy, the movies that make us a fun as crap podcast is so good. Where can people find it, and where can people find you?
Moviesthatmakeus.com. We're on Twitter of Movies That Make Us. Movies Make Us, I think. I can't remember our Twitter handle.
Oh, no. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah. I know it's different than the others, but yeah,
it is Movies Make Us.
Movies Make Us, yeah. So we basically, we're kind of like book club for movies. We pick movies that really mean something to us. It's a celebration of cinema and what we love about it with my good friends Jake Dietz and Val Cameron.
Very good. Well, thank you again so much, my friend, for joining. We hope to have you back on soon. And of course, you can find all of us on the Gaggle of Geeks podcast on PatrickBetaViews.com. You can find me on ABC4 Good Things Utah and on all the other stuff that we do, Cinemania World and what have you. Thank you so much for always watching and checking it out. We'll see you at the next one.